She's mediocre, really. Of all the ochres, she's the meatiest.
You are like a earlobe. You're just there, just wobbling.
You stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder.
Dirt-eating piece of slime. You scum-sucking pig. You son of a motherless goat.
You are a sad, strange little man.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people!
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
You look like a blueberry.
It's the Sadie and Shawn Have No Friends podcast.
Oh, see, I was just...
Finding anything in there?
Shut up, Shawn. I was just scratching the inside of my ear. That is like the most satisfying feeling. I don't even care if you make fun of me for it.
It's weird, though, because what happens if you pull out a bunch of earwax?
I don't know. I get excited. If I do, I get excited. It's so satisfying.
It is. It feels good, like when I use a Q-tip, but it's sad because I use one every day when I get out of the shower, and so I never get any wax. And so if you forget for like a week, sometimes you'll go on vacation, and I don't bring my Q-tips, and I'm gone for a week, and then I come back, and I get a lot out, and that's satisfying too.
Right? I know. I mean, I don't even care. There are YouTube channels that are dedicated to people picking their zits and popping them. And there's just some weird satisfaction in weird stuff like that. And you caught me red-handed, Shawn, because
I don't like the zit popping stuff. That's gross to me. Can't watch it.
I
don't
can't
like
watch
people
it
picking their
either.
nose. I don't like you picking your ear, quite frankly, but
I'm so
I do
sorry.
understand the satisfyingness that comes from that when you do it. It's just gross. It's still bodily fluids. I mean, your earwax is no less gross than your booger.
Yeah, what is that? That's a stigma that makes no sense. Like if I pull up to a car and I turn and it's someone I know and I'm like picking my ear, it's not that big of a deal. I could like back away in kind of like a cool way and save myself, just act like it was a scratch in there. But when you're picking your nose, like you can't come back from that, like you can't. Yeah.
You can't pick your teeth either. People don't like that.
No, I think picking your nose is at the very top of you can't do that list.
Well, I don't think it's the top. I think there's one thing that beats it out, and that's picking your butthole. You can't pick your butthole, but
I'm so glad we're here today.
You really shouldn't pick your butthole and then pick your nose.
You're right. I would
sin.
be mortified if someone saw me pick. I don't even want to say this phrase, but I would be mortified if someone were to see me doing that.
Doing what?
No, I'm not saying it because you're gonna like cut it out and take like a clip of me saying it. So no, thank you. I will not be doing that. But I mean, you're right. I guess picking your butt is top of the list, and then picking your nose, and then it doesn't get as bad. I mean, I don't think picking your teeth. I think it's weird, and like, why are you doing that?
I'm talking with your finger, by the way. If you're picking it with a utensil of some sort, it's much more normal. But if you're in there with your fingers and stuff, then that's gross.
Yeah, but I wouldn't look at it as a butt picker. I wouldn't. Those are two completely different things.
Yeah, but I think a picker's a picker. You're picking your teeth, you're picking your nose, you're probably picking your butt too. And you're probably not washing your hands in between any of these. And so now
you're
your
just
butt,
contaminating
whatever
your
you picked
butt with your nose, with your ear.
Whatever you picked out of your butt is now in your mouth.
Do you think we hooked people? Because they say in the first few minutes is really when you hook them, and then they either stay or they leave. So
it's all downhill from here, though, folks. I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, no, I got a story that is just, I want to get your take on it because.
Time out, though. Before we get into that, we have some people to thank.
I know. I'm just looking for the story, but we have to thank our show sponsors, Tallent Co. Real Estate. They do just such amazing work. And what I love is, there's so many realtors out there, and there's so many big companies, these big conglomerate companies, and they just churn people out. And that's not what it is at Tallent Co. Real Estate. Amy is the owner. She's got an amazing crew. And something new that we're doing for this podcast and for our clients is that we're doing a home of the week video that we're going to be uploading every week. So be sure to reach out to them if you're thinking of selling your home, if you're thinking of finding something else. You want someone that's going to be there from start to finish. That's Amy. That's Talent Co Real Estate. Now I can say, and welcome to this new episode of Sadie and Shawn Have No Friends. And Shawn, are you ready to jump into this story that I was reading? And I thought,
I have no idea. You're going to have to tell me the story to see if I'm ready.
okay, so I read this in People magazine, which is where I get most of my stories because frankly, they got shit that makes me want to click. The clickbait is fire. And so I was reading about this mom and she had a birthday party for her 1-year-old daughter. Okay, are you with me on this? So she had a birthday party for
Got
her
it.
1-year-old daughter. Her name is Rachel Giggs. And she let it be known, first of all, it was a Harry Potter themed party. How magical. And second, which a 1-year-old, hate to tell you, not going to remember. And I myself am guilty of this, where when my children turned 1, we had big parties. Why? Why? Like at 1, they're not going to remember. I don't know. So she's throwing a Harry Potter themed, and the 1-year-old, wasn't like, I want Harry Potter, because she can't talk. But she made a few decisions when having this party that some people think are a little weird. Like, first, which I don't find this odd, I kind of think this is a good idea. She decided that she was going to have a party in the morning. So the party starts at 9. And then she says it's done at 11. I want you out at 11. And she writes this. I don't want people here all day. I feel like she writes what everyone thinks. I don't want people in my house all day. And she says, I want to do it in the morning so you can have the rest of your day. Now, so far, so good, right, Shawn?
It's pretty normal.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. You got to leave at a certain time because of naps. Kids are taking naps.
Yeah.
So then she asked for something else, which I thought was kind of funny. She said, instead of buying presents for my child, she wanted people just to give money because they're redoing their backyard. I shit you not. That's
I
the
mean,
story.
I'm all right with it, though, honestly.
Really? Because
What
people
does a
are coming.
1-year-old need? I mean, you most likely have everything you need for a 1-year-old. At some
Yeah.
point, they're going to get to enjoy that backyard too. As you were saying before, like a 1-year-old birthday party is more for the parents than it is for the 1-year-old, because the 1-year-old they're oblivious to what's going on. So
Right.
that doesn't hurt my feelings.
See, and I don't know how I would feel. I guess I would be okay with it because it's true. Your kid's going to get something that they're not going to play with. They're not going to remember. It's just silly, but that's pretty ballsy to be like, hey, but we're redoing our backyard. So don't get her gifts. Just give me the money. Do you
That-
think that honesty is like more people should be honest? Because when it comes to kids' birthday parties, we're still in the weird phase where Murphy's 6 years old and we'll go to a birthday party. And I'm like, can we leave? Has anyone asked? Do we all just stand here? Because it's true. Then you spend your Saturday watching a bunch of kids eat cake in front of you and doing dumb shit like jumping on trampolines and stuff. And so I'm always like, you know what? I can just run out to Target and she can have it. Is that cool with her? But you never want to be the person to ask. So I always make it a point when we do have a birthday party is I'll say, feel free to drop and run. We will make sure for the next 3 hours your child is safe and, hopefully has a good time. But I always like to put it out there. I think that there should be things that are put out, or else
Yeah, I
you
agree.
do have the people that come
I think
over
it's
and never leave.
Well, that's a whole nother story. But the whole yard thing, I think it's commendable actually, because I would probably lie. I would probably say, get the 1-year-old cash, and then I won't say it, but I'm going to take the cash. I'm going to spend it on my backyard. And so at least these people were honest. They were upfront, because I wouldn't have been. I would have straight up lied. I would have said, yeah, baby 1-year-old wants money.
She loves money, but not the coin. She likes paper. I don't know. Something about the
Yeah,
texture.
I mean, she doesn't have a banking account yet, so if you want to make out a check, it would have to be to me. Here's also my Venmo if you need
Such
it.
a con artist.
I have taxes to pay. We talked about that last week.
This is why I never take advice from Shawn, because
I mean, I think it's fair. I think up until 5, when kids really start to realize that it's their birthday and they get excited, I think it's fair for the parents to get the gifts and the money, because you're like 24/7. It's a job to raise a toddler or a
Yeah.
baby. And so you should get the gifts. You should get the money. You should get the time. It should be about you. You're celebrating you and your accomplishment in raising that baby.
You know what? You're so right on that. I do every year on my birthday, I call my mom and I'm like, really, birthdays should be given to the mom because the mom can never jump on the trampoline again, which is something that as a child I could have done for hours. And now Murphy's like, let's jump. And I'm like, ooh. I'm going to have to go, change my underwear because I'm jumping up and down and getting excited and I pee myself a little bit. It's the fucking weirdest thing. And it's all those little things. You know what I'm
That's not
saying?
normal. You should have that checked out.
No, trust me, it is normal. Do you see many 40-year-olds jump roping? You don't. Because we don't.
I
Because
mean,
we
Shannon's not 40, but she was on the tramp with the kids the other day, and she was pissing them off because she is bigger than them, and so she was like bouncing them off, and they were like, "Dude, you're making this not fun. Can you get off? Please don't
That's
jump on the
savage.
trampoline anymore."
I
And
love you.
maybe there was pee particles flying on them. I don't
Yeah.
know. She didn't
Well, it's
she
not
didn't
like
announce to
you
the world.
announce it to everyone.
Well,
I've
that's what yeah,
pee-peed
she did.
myself just a little bit,
Maybe she
excuse me,
did.
children. I've droppled in my undies. And so, it's just there's so many things and I'm not saying the dad doesn't do a lot because if it's a good dad, the dad does do a lot. They help you. It's a team effort. But, the mom's the one that really on that very day had to push something out of her body. And I just feel like instead of it's a weird cultural thing where why are we celebrating the kid? Every year we should be like, damn, mom, your titties are sagging because I suckled on them. You deserve this massage. Why
Well,
am I getting gifts? I didn't do shit.
let me tell you about this holiday called Mother's Day that we celebrate every May.
No,
And
but I
that's
think that it should be every year on my birthday. I call my mom and I say, Mom, thank you so much because that fucking sucks. Having a baby is the fucking worst.
that's
And
nice of you to remember that your mom went through all
oh
that
yeah.
stuff. But at 6, can you imagine telling Murphy, like, "Hey, I'm sorry this year, I'm gonna get all the gifts for your birthday."
Well, I say
And
you don't even start it when they're 1. I mean, why would you set them up to be disappointed? There is no such thing as a birthday. It's called mom's saggy vagina makeup day. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you owe me. You have to it's like Mother's Day, but only for, I don't know. How would this work? Fuck it. There's 2 Mother's Day. I just invented one. And one of them is on your child's birthday.
well, then there's more than some people have 8 kids, so they have 9 Mother's Days now.
As they should, because if 9 kids marched out, you got to believe the 9th kid just did jumping
Yeah,
jacks out of the
right.
tunnel.
Yeah, at that you don't deserve any credit at that point. Like you're just a pro. So
I know you
I think
watched.
at 4, I think is the cutoff. At 4, you're no longer like a hero for giving birth because it's easy.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm getting canceled for saying
If
that.
we were in a
Some
studio
mom
together,
with
I'd
5
throw
kids
hot
is like,
coffee in your
"You
face.
son of a bitch."
I did think that because there was a gap between. So first of all, when I went in to have Sophie, it was just like she was like a water slide. Whoop, came right out. And I remember thinking, everybody that complains about giving birth, what a bunch of bitches. And then I got paid back with Cooper because his cranium, it was like the math wasn't equating how to get that cranium out. And so I really got taught, but I really hoped when I had Murphy, I was like, I hope this one's easy because it's a girl. No, she messed me up worse than all. And so yeah. Thanks for listening.
You think that I'm a spiritual guy, and we've talked about this before, but you would think that like God would have come up with a better birthing system.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
most of our systems work pretty well. Like it makes a lot of sense why we have 5 fingers and they all have a function, and why we have toes, and why we have this, and why we have that, and it all works really well. The one mystery to me in the human anatomy is why you would try to shove a 12-inch cranium through what should be at most a 2-inch hole.
well, yeah, I mean, yeah. But I don't know. Cooper, even from the get-go, when he was little, he had to wear an adult helmet. So there was like literally his head didn't fit in children's helmets. They were like little yarmulkes on his head. And so I'm like, for safety, we got to get you a grown-ass man adult helmet. And I don't know, but I I don't know. I read that story in People magazine and I'm kind of like, yeah, why would you just straight up ask? I guess I'm an asshole too, Shawn, because I'm like, the more I think about it, the more I would maybe be like, yeah, just throw some money in a card.
I have heard a lot of people too, like along those same lines recently have been putting out like a QR code. They'll put up a sign at their party and they'll be like, or scan this QR code, and it takes them to the PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or whatever they have to help pay for the food and the party stuff. Like not everybody's rich. And so I actually side with those people too. Like
Yeah.
I'm providing you a meal, I'm providing you cake, I'm providing you a place to hang out for a few hours, your kids getting to play. Like, what is it to you to throw me $20?
No, that's wrong because if you are having a party and you are hosting the party, it is on you. Don't have the party if you don't want to pay for
That's
people
not fair
to
to
come
your
and
kid.
eat.
I'm poor. I'm poor. I can't afford to have a party for my kids, so the kid
You're
has to
not poor.
suffer.
Shut up.
I'm not saying me. I'm saying that I'm talking about this hypothetically. There's poor people who also have kids and they can't
Yes.
afford to have a nice party for their kids. So they put on the party. They spend every bit of money they have. Now they're not going to be able to make the mortgage on the double wide later on this month. And so they put up a QR code to get a little help. I don't think that that's bad. I'd scan it and pay them right now.
But where do you draw the line at that? Because I knew someone on Facebook, and I say that loosely because I think they were a listener when I was on the radio. And so, I mean, like, it's funny with Facebook, you kind of feel like you get to know people you don't even know, and you see their kids grow up and it's a trip. But one time he put up his Venmo account because he wanted to go to Mexico. And I'm like, wait a second, I want to go to Mexico too. Like
That's a little bit.
some people use it for really messed up reasons. And I'm like, why would you even put it out there? Because they never get them. I've never seen anyone successfully put out an honest Venmo
I have.
or an honest PayPal or whatever.
Here's where I've seen it. And this has happened more and it's expanded to other areas, but girls were doing it for their bachelorette parties. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
were putting up Venmos and they're pretty girls. It's their bachelorette party, by the way. So they're getting married. They have no interest in you, dude. But 70-year-old, 65-year-old dude who's lonely and thinks he has a chance by throwing her $10 to buy her a couple of drinks when she goes to Nashville for her bachelorette party, thinks he's going to get some. He does it. And I've seen those ones be successful for sure. And so, but those have expanded outside of bachelorette parties where it's like, hey, buy my drink for my bachelorette party. Here's my Venmo. And creepy old dudes do it. But that's expanded into here's my Venmo. It's my birthday. Buy me a drink. I don't know that those are successful. One of the more popular ones now is a divorce Venmo. People who are getting divorced, they lose half their shit, right? Because, and they need help.
Divorce.
So,
I mean,
yeah, right.
yeah.
And so here's the Venmo. Help me out. I'm getting divorced. I don't have any forks.
Oh, okay.
And so I
Yeah.
haven't seen those, but
See,
I've
now
heard
that I
about
could
what's happening.
sympathize with. To
Would you
me,
give to it?
it depends on the situation. What is she a hoe and they got a divorce because she was hoeing around? Then listen, you hoed yourself into a
Well,
hole,
then you help him
sister.
out. You help him out then in that situation.
But if
Like,
she's the one
you ain't getting a
asking
fork
for
from
it.
me, but he
Like,
is.
I truly, you know what? I would have to do a pretty serious deep dive for a $20. It would take me like 6 hours of looking through everyone in the situation's Facebook so I could know who's in the right or wrong before I would give my money. But I don't know. It would depend on the situation. Now, if I honestly, if I saw somebody who was like, I want to have, because we were poor growing up. We weren't poor, like dirt floor poor, but we weren't have a party for. I remember when Sophie turned 1, we had a party at Chuck E. Cheese. And my mom was just like, this is insane. This is so much. There's goodie bags. And I do see now, like she's right, that every time my kid goes to a party with the goodie bag, they lose the goodie bag within an hour, you know? And so when we were growing up, we didn't have the money, so we didn't have parties. Like you hung out with your family. And I remember this is where my love of Dairy Queen cake started because we'd get a Dairy Queen cake. And that's all we got to do because we couldn't afford it. I do think it would be ballsy to be like, we want to have a party. And I don't know, Shawn, maybe I'm the asshole in this one and that's okay. But I'd be like, what? You don't have to have a big glamorous party. It's not like I feel abused because I was, I had a birthday party with just my family.
That's true. I mean, what you don't know about what you don't have. I suppose this is a true conversation that Shannon and I had back in January when Boone had his 5th birthday party. He goes to a babysitter, right? And there's probably like 10 or 12 kids in this home daycare. And he wanted to invite 2 specifically that are his friends because the other ones are like varying in age and they're a lot younger than him. And so we're going to this expensive jumpy house trampoline park sort of place. And
Mhm.
it's like $45 or $50 per kid to go in here and jump for 4 to 3 hours, whatever it
Which
was.
is so
Yeah,
insane.
it's wild how expensive it is. And so, anyways, Boone wanted to just invite these two kids, and I was like, "Cool, we'll have a party. We'll invite them. We'll pay for them." Shannon's like, "No, you can't invite just 1 or 2 of the kids from the daycare. All of them have to be invited." And I was like, "That's fine. They can all be invited. I'm not paying $45 or $50 for this 2-year-old that Boone doesn't even want at his birthday party to go jumping. So they will have to pay for themselves." And she was kind of on your side. She was like, "No, you can't tell people that they have to pay." And
Yeah.
so
If you're hosting a
ultimately,
party,
yeah,
people shouldn't have
ultimately
to.
we didn't
Yeah.
invite anybody from the daycare, even the 2 friends that he wanted, because she thought it was going to be unfair to the other kids that they didn't get invited. I was just like, that's a hard lesson in life. Sometimes you don't get invited to birthday parties.
I'm shocked at child number 3, Shannon, hasn't learned this yet because listen, I did the exact same thing for Sophie when she turned, gosh, she was probably in the 3rd grade, no, 2nd grade maybe. Um, we had a birthday party for her, and I said, "If you're gonna invite someone from your class, we gotta invite all the girls," because frankly, I did not have the best time in elementary school. We moved a few times and it was really hard. So I'm like such a puss about that where I'm like everyone has to be invited. You can't invite half the class and not half because that's so hurtful. And so at her birthday, I had 18 girls. That was mistake number 1. Number 2 was it was a fucking sleepover party. Am I
Mhm.
insane? It was like you just didn't sleep. You didn't sleep because you always had one of the kids come in and go, "I peed my pants," or "I want a drink," or I mean, the odds of one of those children needing something at every hour of the night are 95%. And so it was the longest night of my life. And so now I have 0 sympathy for anyone. Invite who you want, and, hopefully and I don't do sleepover parties. I just don't anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah, we've let the older 2 have sleepover parties, but it's always a limit. It's like, a friend. You get to pick
Yeah.
the best friend, and that best friend can sleep over, but that's it, or 2. Shay had a sleepover back when she was pretty young, and there was fights. These girls would fight, and one of
Yeah.
them had to go home at, like, 3 in the morning. Shannon's calling parents and being like, "Hey, your kid is upset and has to go home," and it was a nightmare
It's a
scenario like that
nightmare.
too, and so, yeah, I prefer not to have no sleepovers.
And on the flip side, when boys have, friends over, they just do dumb shit. Like girls fight and cry and yeah, you get the 3 a.m. wake up of like, Sarah wants to go home. You're
Yep.
like, what? Who is that? And but then you get a boy party, and then it's just like what if we light this on fire? What do you guys think about that? Wouldn't that be weird? Let's see if it melts or if it causes an insane explosion. Come on, guys. So then when it comes to boys, you have to keep such a good eye on everything, even when they get to teenage years, because then it really revs up this insane thought that he's like invincible. My mom would always tell us girls fall in love and boys think they're invincible when they're teenagers. And it's true.
It is true. No sleepovers. Bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, where do we go from here? Did you have sleepovers as a kid?
Mm, my house wasn't much to show off. I vaguely remember like a sleepover with a friend. I think that might be where the idea came from. Like you got one friend. I would
Mhm.
always go to the gymnastics place. I don't know why. That's where I always chose to have my birthday parties. And I'm
And
like the least gymnastic, but there was this big ball pit. And so you jump. This was before
you
trampoline
did say,
parks
I'm sorry to
existed.
interrupt, but you did say earlier in the week you have very feminine features and you have no crushes on any celebrity women. And now you're saying growing up every year you had a birthday party at a gymnastics place.
And I
Okay,
didn't
I'm
go to
putting a puzzle
gymnastics.
together.
I was not. Good for you. It's not true. I don't know. It was fun. There didn't in our day there was no jumpy places. You didn't go to a
Yeah.
place that had trampolines that were meant to have birthday parties at. So our version of that in the early 2000s was go to the gymnastics place. They have trampolines and ball pits and stuff. They have practical uses because people actually are like acrobats and they do flips and stuff into them. We weren't doing that. We were just stupid teenage boys and
Yeah.
we would jump in there. But I would get to invite 5 or 6 friends, and every year I went to the gymnastics place, and then I would get to pick the one special friend that got to come back to my house for a sleepover if I remember
Oh, see, that's
correctly.
a dick move. That's
Well,
a
that
dick
wasn't my
move.
fault. That was my parents.
Can I tell you a story really to end this? Because we do have time. So I just want to jump into this story about sleepovers and tell you about my sleepover nightmare, why I quit going to sleepovers because this happened. And if this happened in 2024, people would have gone to jail. But it happened in the 90s, like the early 90s. I go to my friend's house, and it's one of those things where it's like after school, ride the bus to this person's house. Okay, never been to their house. It wasn't a house, it was on a prairie, and it was a trailer, but it didn't have all its walls. I don't know how to explain it. It was a warm season house, I guess, and so the bus drops us off, and I'm like, "Uh-oh." And I've always my whole life been a homebody. Like it gives me anxiety to go out of my box. So my heart was a race, and I'm like, "Where are we going?" And there were about 8 girls, and some of the they didn't have a phone, they didn't have water, they didn't have electricity. And the mom, it was the mom and the boyfriend, her boyfriend. So this is where it gets weird
Were
because
they
I'm like,
cooking meth?
whatever. No, no, no. Well, I don't know. But but listen, it's the middle of the night. We're sleeping on the prairie. There are rattlesnakes. There's nowhere to sleep. They're like, sleep outside. We all lay down. No one brought uh sleeping bags to school. We just fucking cuddled up together because it was like we're cold. And so then I had to go pee. And now I would have just pissed in the prairie. But I don't know why I woke my friend up and I'm like, "Will you walk with me to the bathroom in the half house?" So we get up and we tiptoe. We go in to the living room area, and the boyfriend is buck ass naked, passed out on the ground.
He had
Like,
been cooking meth.
well, I don't know. I mean, but I remember at the time just being like, "Oh my God, if he wakes up and sees that we see him naked, what if he kills us?" And so get to the bathroom, and then we just sat in the bathroom for like 3 hours because we were so scared that this dude was drunk and he was passed out completely nude on the ground. Again, let me just bring up again, if this were a 2024 thing, but I remember going home to my parents and being like, "Oh my God, you assholes didn't even look into any of this, did you?" Like with my kids when they were growing up, I was like, "Well, where's the house and who are the parents?" And because you can never be too safe. My parents are just like, "All right, here's your bus pass. We signed it. So you can go to this nowhere house." It was the oddest thing I've ever gone to, but I remember only half the kids were staying the night. I was the lucky one. And only half the kids were staying the night. And one of my friends' moms came, and I was trying to like blink out instructions of like, say, my mom needs me to come home. Like, oh my God. And then I watched their car drive away to safety, to comfort, to walls, to not naked men.
Yeah,
And
I would
it
have been
was the
so scared.
weirdest situation. And it truly scared me away from ever accepting an invitation to someone's home because I'm like, I was traumatized. It was a weird thing. It was
It
a
would have
weird thing.
That would have traumatized me too. I was such a I still am. I'm a proud pussy. I admit it all the time. I'm a chicken. And it stems back from when I was a kid. I was never brave. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's like built into Boone too. He reminds me of me when I was a kid. He's scared of everything. But I was scared to death of everything. And I've never really gotten into this story, but my mom, my maternal mom, and I are not very close. She wasn't around most of my childhood. But early on, when my parents first got divorced, I would go visit my mom. I had to. And so I lived with my dad, but we would go to my mom's, my sister and I would, to visit from time to time. And my mom truly, we never, until they got divorced, lived in trailer parks. But my mom, when she left my dad, lived
Sure.
in trailer parks.
And I don't
She
think there's anything wrong with
multiple
that. I kind of see myself one day wanting to do that because I mean, why be forced to have an expensive mortgage? I mean,
well,
live
that's
your
fine.
damn
Yeah.
life and you got a perfect little house here.
I don't think she had a choice, and it wasn't trailer parks that, not making fun of them, because it's what people could afford and they were getting by, and I understand that, and I think that that's what my mom was trying to do too, but they weren't like the nice trailer parks. It was trailer parks. Like, there was some
Okay.
shady shit happening in these trailer parks, and I'd never really experienced that before. My dad was a pretty protective guy, and so I'd go stay with my mom. It's a Wednesday night and I have school the next day, and my mom was a young mom. She had me when she was 17, so I'm at this point 8 or 9, and she's in her low 20s, and
Yeah.
she's still kind of in crazy young mom
Oh.
phase, living in Trailer Park City, going through dudes, and she would bring some dudes
Oh.
over, and there was crazy parties happening, and
Wait, were you at this birthday party I was at?
this isn't,
Was
yeah,
this your
right? Yeah,
mom?
that's my mom. I was there. That was my
That
birthday
was
party.
daddy number 4.
Yeah. No, but I'm just like, to your story, like, I
That's
can kind of
scary.
relate to that, because this is an era before cell phones where you can't just like click up your phone.
Mhm.
I remember, like, there was a couple of different times where, and I'm a daddy's boy, and I was so scared in the middle of the night, and it breaks my heart because I think about my kids doing this. I'd never put them through this. I would hide. I would find the house phone, and luckily there was cordless phones, so I wasn't like tied to a wall, but I would find the phone and I would hide in a bathroom while my mom's getting hammered or partying or doing a
Oh,
random dude, and I
Sean.
would call my dad and I would be like, "This isn't, I'm 8. This isn't, I don't like
So
this.
what
This
would
isn't
your
safe.
dad just come get you?
Come get me." He's like, Just go to bed. Just go to sleep. We'll be together tomorrow. It's gonna be okay. Your mom would never do
Oh.
anything to hurt you." And I was like, "You're not over here. You don't know
Yeah,
what's going on. Like, there's random weird people here, and get me out." And
yeah.
I think my dad, I wonder, I've never talked to him about it since I've been an adult, but I wonder, like, did he lay up all night wondering about me? Did
I
he
bet he
drive by
did.
the trailer to check and make sure that it was safe? Did he just go to bed and be like, "Oh, hopefully my kid doesn't get murdered in the trailer park tonight"? I wonder what he did in those situations, because I remember them like they were yesterday. It was scary.
Yeah, that's a really scary thing for some kids. But then again, not to get back to my story, but then again, this girl, she fell right asleep on the prairie and she didn't need a fan, she didn't need temperature fluctuation control, she didn't need warm milk, she didn't need sheets on a bed. She was just so I'm like, damn, in the end, if survivalism is a thing, she's probably going to flourish
Yeah.
to where I'm going to die on day 2 cuz I'm like going to eat some berries that make me shit myself to death. And so then I'm like, well, I remember it was a fun party and she had a lot of fun, which made me very happy, but I just think that it scared the living shit out of me. And I remember at one point the mom took us into town into Wellington and was like, "You can play at the Boys and Girls Club." I'm like, "Okay." And so we did. I spent the whole time at the pizza restaurant right behind the park, trying to call my parents. Again, there were no cell phones. And I think my parents probably went out to dinner. They were like, damn, they're all gone. Let's go out and enjoy ourselves. But I remember just desperately calling again and again and again and again, kind of like what you were saying. And then the mom came to get us again a few hours later. And I'm like watching civilization in the back window of their Pinto. And I'm like, I'm never going home. I'm going to die. I am going to die out here. But I'm a puss and I understand, I'm not in any way at all making fun of, not having money because that's the fucking worst. But in a lot of ways it was now I look back as an adult and that other than the naked dude, that was a pretty pure fun time. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I
you
just
could almost, and maybe you just didn't hear about it as much, but you could send your kids to places like that. And although, yeah, the naked dude thing is weird, like they came back in one piece and everybody was fine and it was all
yeah.
good. You could never do that today because you and I both, and most people that are listening to this podcast would have researched the situation. We would
Yeah.
have found out that it's a weird trailer in the middle of nowhere where they're likely cooking meth, and we
I
wouldn't have
know.
let our kids go.
I can almost with 100% certainty say there was some meth cooking. And I didn't know what meth cooking was because, Breaking Bad wasn't a thing. And so I have no idea. But now it makes sense because one of the walls was plastic, that heavy duty plastic. So that plastic was the only thing as a wall on one of them. And so all night long, I just laid there in the fucking prairie and listened to that plastic slap together and think, where are you, mom?
Right.
But we made it through. I'm not saying I'm a tougher person. I just became a shell of a human where I was like, fuck you and whoever's birthday party. I ain't going to your house. But it was a less technological time.
Well, I'm a tougher person because of my experiences with my mom in the trailer park for sure. Like if everything ever came crashing down, I'm equipped, ready to go. I know how to
Really,
handle
Shawn,
it.
you were just telling me you can't live in a Chinese prison because you were afraid the food would be bad.
Well, I can eat ramen noodles. You can
You
afford
can't
those.
eat ramen. Good God, let's
All
end
right, this
this.
is over. Who do we have to thank somebody today?
We do, and I'm so excited to thank them. It's Cristiana Salon and Spa. You go in there and you get pampered and you get your hair done. And maybe you're somebody who doesn't really go. I know some girls, and these are some amazing women, and they go every 6 weeks, like clockwork. They're going to go get trimmed and colored, and that could be overwhelming sometimes, especially if you don't know where to go. They have the best stylists at Cristiana Salon and Spa. Plus, it's an Aveda salon, so the product that they're using, it's like the best of the best. The last time I went in there, I came home and for like 3 days, my hair was like a mink coat. It was beautiful. And then I got fugly again, so I got to head on back over there. But
You're going today.
I
Like
am
when we're
late
done recording in
today.
just a minute. I'll give
Yes.
you, when we get off the air, I'll give you my suggestions on what I think you should do to be less.
Oh my God. Well, listen, I'm always open to suggestions. Thank you for listening and downloading today's episode, brought to you by our show sponsor, Tallent Co Real Estate. And thank you so much. If you are watching on our YouTube channel with full episodes, you see what I'm dealing with here? Shawn becomes this little boy that I have to be like, and we have to be done because he starts fidgeting.
Well, you told me 30-minute episodes, and I look at our little timer thing and it says 37, and I'm like, is she done yet? Can I go pee? I've got to piss.
Okay, we're done.
All right, bye.